This article is about the demographic features of the population of Lebanon, including population density, education level, health of the populace, economic status, religious affiliations and other aspects of the population. The cultural and linguistic heritage of the Lebanese people is a blend of both indigenous elements and the foreign cultures that have come to rule the land and its people over the course of thousands of years. In a 2013 interview, the lead investigator, Pierre Zaloua, pointed out that genetic variation preceded religious variation and divisions. Lebanon already had well-differentiated communities with their own genetic peculiarities, but not significant differences, and religions came as layers of paint on top. There is no distinct pattern that shows that one community carries significantly more Phoenician than another. About 99% of the population of Lebanon includes numerous Muslim sects and Christian denominations. Because the matter of religious balance is a sensitive political issue, a national census has not been conducted since 1932, before the founding of the modern Lebanese state. Consequently, there is an absence of accurate data on the relative percentages of the population of the major religions and groups. There are from 8.6 to 14 million Lebanese and descendants of Lebanese worldwide and not in Lebanon. About 80% of them are Christians. Ethnic groups. Lebanese ethnic background is an important factor in Lebanon. The country encompasses a great mix of cultural, religious, and ethnic groups which have been building up for more than 6,000 years. The Arabs invaded and occupied Phoenicia in the 7th century AD from Arabia. The predominant cultural backgrounds and ancestry of the Lebanese vary from Aramean to Canaanite, and Greek. Lebanese are overall genetically similar to the people of Cyprus and Malta and to the other modern Levantine populations, such as the Syrians and Palestinians. The question of ethnic identity has come to revolve more around aspects of cultural self-identification more than descent. Religious affiliation has also become a substitute in some respects for ethnic affiliation. Generally, the cultural and linguistic heritage of the Lebanese people is a blend of both indigenous Phoenician elements and the foreign cultures that have come to rule the land and its people over the course of thousands of years. Moreover, in a 2013 interview, the lead investigator, Pierre Zaloua, pointed out that genetic variation preceded religious variation and divisions. Lebanon already had well-differentiated communities with their own genetic peculiarities, but not significant differences, and religions came as layers of paint on top. There is no distinct pattern that shows that one community carries significantly more Phoenician than another. Religious groups. The Phoenicians are some of the oldest Christians in the world, preceded only by the Coptic Christians of Kush and Kemet. The Maronite Christians belong to the West Syriac Rite. Their liturgical language is the Syriac-Aramaic language. The Melkite Greek Catholics and the Greek Orthodox tend to focus more on the Greco-Hellenistic heritage of the region from the days of the Byzantine Empire, and the fact that Greek was maintained as a liturgical language until very recently. Some Lebanese even claim partial descent from Crusade knights who ruled Lebanon for a couple of centuries during the Middle Ages, also backed by recent genetic studies which confirmed this among Lebanese people, especially in the north of the country that was under the Crusader county of Tripoli. The identification with non-Arab civilizations also exists in other religious communities, albeit not to the same extent. The sectarian system. Lebanon's religious divisions are extremely complicated, and the country is made up by a multitude of religious groupings. The ecclesiastical and demographic patterns of the sects and denominations are complex. Divisions and rivalries between groups date back as far as 15 centuries, and still are a factor today. The pattern of settlement has changed little since the 7th century, but instances of civil strife and ethnic cleansing, most recently during the Lebanese Civil War, has brought some important changes to the religious map of the country. Lebanon has by far the largest proportion of Christians of any Middle Eastern country. But both Christians and Muslims are subdivided into many splinter sects and denominations. Population statistics are highly controversial. The various denominations and sects each have vested interests in inflating their own numbers. Sunnis, Shia, Maronites and Greek Orthodox all often claim that their particular religious affiliation holds a majority in the country, adding up to over 150% of the total population, even before counting the other denominations. One of the rare things that most Lebanese religious leaders will agree on is to avoid a new general census, for fear that it could trigger a new round of denominational conflict. The last official census was performed in 1932. Religion has traditionally been of overriding importance in defining the Lebanese population, dividing state power between the religious denominations and sects, and granting religious authorities judicial power, dates back to Ottoman times. The practice was reinforced during French Mandate, when Christian groups were granted privileges. This system of government, while partly intended as a compromise between sectarian demands, has caused tensions that still dominate Lebanese politics to this day. The Christian population majority is believed to have ended in the early 1960s, but government leaders would agree to no change in the political power balance. This led to Muslim demands of increased representation, and the constant sectarian tension slid into violent conflict in 1958 and again in the grueling Lebanese Civil War, in 1975–90. The balance of power has been slightly adjusted in the 1943 National Pact, an informal agreement struck at independence, in which positions of power were divided according to the 1932 census. The Sunni elite was then accorded more power, but Maronites continued to dominate the system. The sectarian balance was again adjusted towards the Muslim side but simultaneously further reinforced and legitimized. Shia Muslims then gained additional representation in the state apparatus, and the obligatory Christian-Muslim representation in parliament was downgraded from a 6:5 to a 1:1 ratio. Christians of various denominations were then generally thought to constitute about 40% of the population, although often Muslim leaders would cite lower numbers, and some Christians would claim that they still held a majority of the population. 18 recognized religious groups. The present Lebanese constitution officially acknowledges 18 religious groups. These have the right to handle family law according to their own courts and traditions, and they are the basic players in Lebanon's complex sectarian politics. Alawite, Armenian Catholic, Armenian Orthodox, Assyrian Church of the East, Chaldean Catholic, Copts, Druze, Greek Orthodox, Ismaili, Jewish, Latin Catholic, Maronite Catholic, Melkite Greek Catholic, Protestant, Sunni, Shia, Syriac Catholic, Syriac Orthodox. Religious population statistics note: stateless Palestinians and Syrians are not included in the statistics below since they do not hold Lebanese citizenship. The numbers only include the present population of Lebanon, and not the Lebanese diaspora. The 1932 census stated that Christians made up 51% of the population. Maronites, largest among the Christian denomination and then largely in control of the state apparatus, accounted for 29% of the total resident population. But since the 19th century, Muslim birth rates have been continually higher than Christian birth rates. Also, far larger numbers of Christians emigrated from Lebanon than Muslims. A study conducted by Statistics Lebanon, a Beirut-based research firm, cited by the United States Department of State, found that of Lebanon's population of approximately 4.3 million is estimated to be 54% Islam, 40.5% Christian, 5.6% Druze. There are also very small numbers of other religions such as Judaism, Baha'i faith, Buddhism, Hinduism and Mormons. The CIA World Factbook specifies that of those residing in Lebanon, 59.7% are Muslims and 39% are Christians and 1.3% other Muslims. According to the CIA World Factbook, the Muslim population is estimated at around 59.5% within the Lebanese territory, and of the 8.6-14 million Lebanese diaspora is believed by some to be about 20% of the total population. Sectarian breakdown. The Shia Muslims are around 27% to 29% of the total population. The Speaker of Parliament is always a Shia Muslim, as it is the only high post that Shias are eligible for. The Shiites are largely concentrated in northern and western Bekaa, southern Lebanon, and in the southern suburbs of Beirut. The Sunni Muslims constitute also about 27% to 29% of the total population. Sunni notables traditionally held power in the Lebanese state together, and they are still the only sect eligible for the post of Prime Minister. Sunnis are mostly concentrated in West Beirut, Tripoli, Sidon, central and western Bekaa, and Akka in the north. The Druze constitute 5% of the population and can be found primarily in Mount Lebanon and the Shof district. Other Muslim sects have a small presence, with the Ishmaelis and Alawites combined comprising less than 1% of the population and usually included among Lebanese Shia Muslims. Christians. It is estimated that the Christian population in Lebanon makes up about 40.5% within the Lebanese territory, and of the 8.6-14 million Lebanese diaspora is believed by some to be about 80% of the total population. Sectarian breakdown. The Maronites are the largest of the Christian groups, about 21% of the population of Lebanon. They have had a long and continuous association with the Roman Catholic Church, but have their own patriarch, liturgy, and customs. Traditionally they had good relations with the Western world, especially France and the Vatican. They traditionally dominated the Lebanese government, and Maronites are the only sect eligible for the post of President of Lebanon. Their influence in later years has diminished because of their relative decrease in numbers, but also due to the Syrian occupation of Lebanon, which generally benefited Muslim communities, and was resisted by most Maronites. Today the Maronites are believed to compose about 21% of the population, scattered around the Lebanese countryside but with heavy concentrations on Mount Lebanon and in Beirut. The second largest Christian group is the Eastern Orthodox, that constitute at least 8% of the population. The Church exists in many parts of the Arab world, and Eastern Orthodox Christians have often been noted for pan-Arab or pan-Syrian leanings. It has had less dealings with Western countries than the Maronites. The Eastern Orthodox Lebanese Christians have a long and continuous association with Eastern Orthodox European countries like Greece, Cyprus, Russia, Ukraine, Bulgaria, Serbia and Romania. The Deputy Speaker of Parliament and the Deputy Prime Minister are reserved for Eastern Orthodox Christians. The Melkite Catholics are thought to constitute about 5% of the population. The Protestants are thought to constitute about 1% of the population. The remaining Christian churches are thought to constitute another 6% of the population. There remains a very small Jewish population, traditionally centered in Beirut. It has been larger. Most Jews left the country after the Lebanese Civil War, as thousands of Lebanese did at that time. Diaspora. Apart from the 4.5 million citizens of Lebanon proper, there is a sizable Lebanese diaspora. There are more Lebanese people living outside of Lebanon than within. The majority of the diaspora population consists of Lebanese Christians. However, there are some who are Muslim. They trace their origin to several waves of Christian emigration, starting with the exodus that followed the 1860 Lebanon conflict in Ottoman Syria. Under the current Lebanese nationality law, diaspora Lebanese do not have an automatic right of return to Lebanon, due to varying degrees of assimilation and high degree of interethnic marriages. Most diaspora Lebanese have not passed on the Arabic language to their children, while still maintaining a Lebanese ethnic identity. Many Lebanese families are economically and politically prominent in several Latin American countries, and make up a substantial portion of the Lebanese American community in the United States. The largest Lebanese diaspora is located in Brazil, where about 6 to 7 million people have Lebanese descent. In Argentina, there is also a large Lebanese diaspora of approximately 1.5 million people having Lebanese descent. In Canada, there is also a large Lebanese diaspora of approximately 250,000–500,000 people having Lebanese descent. The large size of Lebanon's diaspora may be partly explained by the historical and cultural tradition of seafaring and traveling, which stretches back to Lebanon's ancient Phoenician origins and its role as a gateway of relations between Europe and the Middle East. It has been commonplace for Lebanese citizens to emigrate in search of economic prosperity. Furthermore, on several occasions in the last 2 centuries the Lebanese population has endured periods of ethnic cleansing and displacement. These factors have contributed to the geographical mobility of the Lebanese people. While under Syrian occupation, Beirut passed legislation which prevented second-generation Lebanese of the diaspora from automatically obtaining Lebanese citizenship. This has reinforced the émigré status of many diaspora Lebanese. There is currently a campaign by those Lebanese of the diaspora who already have Lebanese citizenship to attain the vote from abroad, which has been successfully passed in the Lebanese parliament and will be effective as of 2013, which is the next parliamentary elections. If suffrage was to be extended to these 1.2 million Lebanese émigré citizens, it would have a significant political effect, since as many as 80% of them are believed to be Christian. Lebanese Civil War refugees and displaced persons with no official figures available. It is estimated that 600,000–900,000 persons fled the country during the Lebanese Civil War. Although some have since returned, this permanently disturbed Lebanese population growth and greatly complicated demographic statistics. Another result of the war was a large number of internally displaced persons. This especially affected the southern Shia community, as Israeli invasion of southern Lebanon in 1978, 1982 and 1996 prompted waves of mass emigration, in addition to the continual strain of occupation and fighting between Israel and Hezbollah. Many Shias from southern Lebanon resettled in the suburbs south of Beirut. After the war, the pace of Christian emigration accelerated, as many Christians felt discriminated against in Lebanon under increasingly oppressive Syrian occupation. According to a UNDP study, as much as 10% of the Lebanese had a disability in 1990. Other studies have pointed to the fact that this portion of society is highly marginalized due to the lack of educational and governmental support of their advancement. Languages. Commonly spoken languages in Lebanon include Lebanese Arabic, French and English. The minority languages mainly spoken between their respective populations are Armenian, Kurdish, Greek, and many others. CIA World Factbook Demographic Statistics. The following demographic statistics are from the CIA World Factbook, unless otherwise indicated. Population. Total population. 5,882,562 Lebanese nationals. 4,132,000 Syrian refugees. 1,077,000 registered at the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees. Palestinian refugees. 450,000. Age structure. 0 to 14 years. 21.5%. 15 to 64 years. 68%. 65 years and over. 10.5%. Median age. Total. 29.34 years male. 27.28 years female. 31.43 years. Population growth rate. 1.04%, 0.96% according to CIA Factbook. Net migration rate, -4.43 migrant, 1,000 population. Sex ratio, at birth, 1.05 male, female under 15 years, 1.04 male, female 15 to 64 years, 0.92 male, female 65 years and over, 0.83 male, female. Total population, 0.94 male, female. Life expectancy at birth, total population, 79.82 years male, 77.28 years female, 80.36 years. Vital statistics.